What's up, everybody? This is Cool Dude, and what's this? A different type of cool review. I'd like to call this a cool re-review. It's actually like, this is going to be a bit more like a chill discussion kind of a thing, but it's also not, it's like a cool review, but it's also not really like a cool review because I've already done it like a chill discussion. But I don't know, like a chill review, review discussion, I don't know. But today I wanted to do something different because I rewatched one of my older videos, as I rarely do because I don't like rewatching my old stuff. I'm not one of those people. And I was watching my cool review of Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, obviously. Came out in 2019. And I watched it, and I'm like, you know what? This really doesn't hold true that well nowadays. Like, that's very, very, like, not relevant. So I figured I'd do a little bit of a re-review. Like, my thoughts nowadays, like, because I've really, really changed a lot. My feelings about that movie have changed a lot since then. Like, a lot of the reviews I've done back in the day, they still hold true. Like, I still have the same thoughts about, like, Joker and It Chapter 2 and, you know, Scary Stories and Jurassic Park, all those movies, like, all the movies that I've already done, like, my opinions still hold very strong. A few things maybe have grown on me, but, like, for consistently, like, the ratings, I would still give those ratings today. But Doctor Sleep, I did not give it as much credit as I think it deserved. So, this is my re-review of Doctor Sleep nowadays, because it really has changed. And I don't think I did it enough credit back then, so let's get back to it. So, for those of you who need another plot synopsis of the film, I don't know why you wouldn't just watch the original. The other Doctor Sleep cool review I got, I'll put a link to it in the description. But what the hell, I'll just tell it again to be nice. So, Doctor Sleep centers around Danny Torrance, the kid from the original The Shining, and how he's all grown up after surviving the events of the Overlook Hotel. And those ghosts of the Overlook Hotel are still haunting him. And he keeps seeing all these things, and they hurt him, following him into his life, I mean. And until the ghost of Dick Hallorann encourages him to trap him in these little boxes. And he eventually does trap him in the boxes, and years later, you know, he's an alcoholic, and he's not feeling great. He's just really not in a good place. But eventually he moves to this new town, and he just really starts changing his life for the better. He really just starts to reform himself. Along the way, he also meets Abra, who is also, like, she has the shine just like Danny, and she comes across these people called, Rose the Hat? I don't remember the name of the group. The True Knot. They are part of the member of the True Knot. That's what it was. Sorry, my brain pooped out for a second. So they come across the True Knot, and because they murder the Shining people because they feed off their shine by killing them. So Abra really just wants to stop the True Knot from committing any more harm to people like her and Danny. And Danny begrudgingly agrees to help, and the rest of the movie is pretty much Danny and Abra trying to stop the True Knot while, you know, their effects of them try to ensue. And eventually, towards the end, I won't give it away, but Danny does indeed come back to the Overlook Hotel in some way. So, this movie, the cons still remain consistent from my old review. I'll just get to the cons first, because nothing has changed. The pros, I'm going to get into afterwards, because those really are what has changed significantly over time. Cons still remain the same. I still don't really like how, you know, Jack Torrance and Wendy was casted. Wendy is fine. Like, I actually like the actress fine. She has the mannerisms of, you know, Shelley Duvall fine, but the guy they got for Jack Torrance does not resemble Jack Nicholson at all. He is awful. But I get it. They couldn't get Jack Nicholson back. You know, he's like really old and he's retired at this point, so, you know, I understand. I also just think, a new con I have is that I actually think that it goes a little too heavy towards the end with the Shining references. Like, I don't think we needed to see the great party, isn't it, guy, towards the end, or the Shining girls. I think they just wanted to do that for the fan service-y kind of thing. But that's just a minor nitpick. And I also just still think that it's not as, you know, emotionally resonant as The Shining. It's, you know, it's great, but, like, the emotions, I don't know, just the fear about it is definitely not as present in The Shining. I think the majority of that reason, though, is because Doctor Sleep just doesn't feel like a horror movie to me. Like, I wouldn't classify it horror. Like, it has horror elements in it, but I would actually consider it more to be like a sci-fi thriller, almost, you know? Like, that's what I put. A sci-fi fantasy, like, thriller kind of movie. But that's just my opinion. But now, let's get to the pros, because, oh my god, I did not give this movie credit for the pros. So first of all, the casting is still great. Like, Ewan McGregor excels as a young older Danny Torrance. When I first saw the trailers for the movie and I saw Ewan McGregor was casted for Danny Torrance, I was really scared because I don't know, I just didn't see Ewan McGregor being a grown-up Danny Lloyd, you know? I just didn't really see how that would work. But surprisingly, Ewan McGregor does a really fantastic job selling the role. He really does a fantastic job of just nailing the performance home. It's absolutely amazing. And the rest of the cast is really good too. Abra, they got a really good kid actor, and she's really funny, and she has some great banter, and her and Danny make a great, like, I want to say like a father-daughter relationship almost. I know like he's the time like she calls him Uncle Danny in the film, but I think they have more of a father-daughter relationship. That's just my opinion. And the True Knot are really good villains. I especially love Rose the Hat, and she's just a really great villain. And I do, not to give away how she ends up, you know, getting axed off in the film, but I definitely think it was a little underwhelming. I would have liked to see her go out in a much cooler way, but I get it. It's fine. Also just the way that, oh my god, I just can't get over it. The way that this man was able to, you know, incorporate so much of the original Shining, like, movie from Stanley Kubrick, and with the, you know, the original novel by Stephen King, mixed with the, you know, sequel to Dr. Sleep, like Stephen King's book Dr. Sleep, all of it together so nicely and so cleanly is just, it's really, I just gotta admire the dude. Like, I don't think I gave him, I might have said it, I think I did say it, that, like, Michael Dougherty, I don't remember his name, I'm gonna put him up on the screen, god, I'm so terrible with names, but he just did such a fantastic job of weaving all that together, and I gotta give him props for that. That's so amazing, and that's something only very talented directors can be able to do, because it's not easy. It's not easy to satisfy everyone, but I think this movie really does a good job of that. And the music, oh my god, the music. I did not give credit to the music, but the music is really good. Like, it really does remind me of watching The Shining again, especially towards the end when it just really resembles that score. It's really, really good. I love it a lot. It's so cool. I also just... the environment it sets up is really strong. Like, I just really love that it's very grim, it's not a very pleasant environment that they set up. It's a very harsh, cold environment that they set up in Dr. Sleep, but it just has such a beam of hope with Danny and Abra, especially towards the ending, which I do actually appreciate a little bit more nowadays, you know, versus when I did back then. I just really appreciate all that. And my god, it's just like, sure, I've said the references are a little much, but, like, that ending scene is so good. Like, some people might say it's like, oh, it's a little bit for, like, reminding you of The Shining exists, and, you know, this is supposed to be a sequel to The Shining. Because nothing is super Shining heavy, surprisingly. It's all contained in its own story until the end. Like, the end is nothing but, hey, this is The Shining 2, so... you know, many people might say that it's a bad thing, but I honestly think it was a pretty solid ending, especially considering this is supposed to be a sequel to the Stanley Kubrick Shining, while also tying up, you know, Stephen King's Shining book. Because if you've never read the Stephen King Shining book, in the end, the hotel does end up blowing up. It doesn't actually, you know, last there, but unlike Stanley Kubrick's movie. So I think it did a good job of, like, tying up loose ends for the novel and for the movie. It's really good. And I won't give away how this movie ends, but it's not exactly the happiest ending in the world. Like, it has a nice... like, it is a nice ending, but, like, it's not exactly super, super happy. Like, it's a little bittersweet, I like to call it. A bittersweet ending. But it's still a very fitting ending for the movie. I like it a lot. Maybe not as iconic as an ending as The Shining, but it's The Shining. Nothing is going to be as iconic as that. But, yeah, I just gotta give it so much love and attention. And I just love... last thing is just Dr. Sleep. I love how it... except for the end... it's its own thing. Like, it feels like its own unique story. Like, this doesn't feel like a cash-in, like with Jaws 2 or Home Alone 2, like any of those other really bad sequels that just did more of the same thing. Like, this movie actually feels like a continuing narrative of The Shining, which I just love so much. And I'm just very, very angry at myself. Just like, bad cool dude. He didn't appreciate that before. This movie is an easy 5 axes out of 5. Here's Johnny's out of 5. This movie is just absolutely perfect. It's really a great movie. It's just an absolutely fantastic movie from start to finish. I still stand by that I think The Shining is a better movie. Like, I still really love The Shining a lot more than this one. But Dr. Sleep is definitely a close second. Like, Dr. Sleep is just absolutely great. It's a modern masterpiece. Dr. Sleep, I did not give it nearly as much love as it deserved. So, if you want to know my thoughts about Dr. Sleep now, like, this is it. Like, easy 5 out of 5. I highly recommend it if you're a Shining fan. You know, even if you're just a horror fan, like, I still recommend it. It still has a great enough amount of horror stuff in it to be considered it. Even though I myself does not consider it a horror movie all the way through, but like I still believe that horror fans are gonna love this one. So that's my review of Dr. Sleep, re-review of Dr. Sleep. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know this was a very different kind of one, and I'm not just doing this because of the, I have nothing else to record. I'm just doing this because I think it was just long overdue. It's just bugging my mind. It was really annoying me that, like, that was my thoughts on the internet. Like, I can't have that. I'll still keep that old review up. I'd like to consider that as a part of channel history, but if you want to know my actual thoughts on it from here on out, this is the video you want to go to, not that one. That video is so outdated. But I'll still put a link to it in the description if you want to check it out for myself. And if you somehow agree with that opinion, that's fine. That's fine. I absolutely understand. But let me know down in the comments what you think of Dr. Sleep. I know it's like a 2-year-old movie, but, I'll still be excited to see what you say. If you like this video, leave a like. And even if you don't watch Dr. Sleep, you don't care, just leave me a comment anyway. I'd like to see what you say. And until next time, guys, stay cool. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye, y'all.